Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the AMX M4 a Tier 10 French Collector Heavy, a vehicle that a lot of us thought was going to be absolutely nerfed in the next update of the game. But it actually seems like it's gotten a rather big buff, and in today's video I'll be showcasing why that is the case. I'm currently sitting in the open test client, so this here is the new PBR AMX M4 We can compare the old version without PBR here. It's definitely a lot cleaner looking in the newer version. I'm really excited about. And one of the things that I found very surprising is that Wargaming did not actually go with the armor nerf. In fact, they buffed the armor of the vehicle. We can read in the changes of the AMX, it says reactive armor consumable will replace tungsten rounds. Terrain crossing capacity, engine power, and hull traverse speed are improved. Reload time is reduced by 1.34 seconds, and heat is set as the premium shell type. Frontal armor thickness, armor penetration, and average damage per shot are decreased. So, as it says in the listing, frontal armor thickness is decreased. But in reality, if we make our way back over to Blitz, we can take a look at the frontal armor's base thickness. It is 210 millimeters. And if we make our way over to the current version of the game that we're all playing in, it says that the frontal armor thickness is around 200 millimeters. I'm not exactly sure where it lists it, but we can see it very quickly. There you go, 200 millimeters. So this vehicle actually got a buff on its frontal armor. We can see the turret is exactly the same, 300, 300, 80 on the side, 60 on the rear. So all of the stats are exactly the same, but they actually ended up buffing the upper plate rather than nerfing. I thought this was interesting. It seems like Wargaming may have decided that some of the changes were a little too harsh on the vehicle after hearing the community uproar. So, in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing what the AMX M4 is going to play like. Let's start off with the changed statistics. I'm running calibrated shells on both of these vehicles, and we're going to take a look at the DPM differences. We can see that the AMX M4, the new version, is going to have a bit more DPM, going from 2,360 to 2,474. That is pretty nice. However, the average penetration is going down quite a bit. Not only is the standard pen with calibrated going down by about 10 millimeters, but the armor piercing is AP. So the vehicle goes from 326 millimeters of AP penetration to 336 millimeters of heat pen. Now again, this is with calibrated shells. That's not a lot of heat penetration. Now the good thing is the AMX M4 is tall, so looking down on opponents, you should be able to cut through their armor a bit easier than, let's say, a tank like the 5A. But it is still a bit disappointing to see the vehicle sitting at such a low amount of penetration. Trying to cut through, for example, an E100 turret, yeah, good luck. If that E100 is running enhanced armor, you are going to have a very small chance of ever cutting through the turret. So there are definitely going to be opponents that this tank is going to struggle to penetrate with the heat shells, but at least it won't be the worst thing ever. The average damage we can see has gone down a bit, going from 480 to 450, so it lost 30 damage per shot, where the HE didn't actually lose a crazy amount, going from 620 to 600, and same for the heat, only losing 20 as well, from 400 to 380. So it actually only lost a chunk on its AP more than actually, I find it kind of weird, the heat and the HE. Now something else I should point out, which is a bit disappointing, not only did the AP lose penetration, but it actually lost even more because it went from AP to APCR standard. So the vehicle overall lost a lot of penetration, which is a bit disappointing. That's actually a lot disappointing. However, to make up for these changes on the vehicle there, as I said, it did gain a bit more DPM. And because it lost alpha, it actually has a much faster reload, going from a 12.2 second rate of fire to a 10.91 second reload. That's actually nice. That means you'll be able to out-trade a lot of opponents now. You'll be able to go toe-to-toe with vehicles like the IS-7, so that is pretty solid. And now comes the crazy part. Let's make our way to the mobility of the AMX M4 and see the changes that we have on the vehicle. The tank's power to weight went from 18.1 to 19, and the hull traverse went from 32 degrees a second to 41. Yes, you heard that right. It went from 32.76 to 40.95. This is insane. Here we are in a training room with the AMX M454. Look at this thing's traverse speed. Now, we are currently sitting on medium terrain. This is still very, very fast traverse speed, and the power to weight is also incredibly fast. I mean, this tank is no longer a super heavy, which it previously kind of was. I mean, the tank's never been the most heavily armored. It's got a big lower plate, its side armor is very, very weak. But the AMX M4 has a much, much better power to weight coefficient going for it, which is going to allow it to be way faster. We can see I'm already up to my top speed of 45, and it's just going to stay at that top speed very easily. Even uphill here, we're going 45, 44. This tank is much faster than it previously was. I mean, you can see the insane mobility we're going here, just chilling at 45 no matter what. So the AMX M4 is not only going to feature 8 degrees more traverse speed, which is going to make it much, much better on angling and wiggling against opponents, but it is also featuring a better power to weight and better frontal armor. So is it actually a nerf that the vehicle received? Well, if you want my opinion, no. I mean, sure, there are definitely some big downsides done to the vehicle. The APCR is going to kind of suck as standard, and the heat is going to be quite a big downer when you're shooting at vehicles like the E100, or really anything that has decent frontal armor, the IS-7 angled properly, even the Object 260 to be completely honest. But at the same time, this newly changed traverse speed is insane. And again, the power to weight, I mean, this tank is an absolute speed demon now. Look at this thing's traverse on hard terrain. We can literally turn this tank on a dime. This is insane traverse for a vehicle that is supposed to have weak sides. So the AMX M4 is definitely not getting a nerf. It is getting a rework, is what I would call it, but definitely not a nerf. I mean, again, look at this vehicle's acceleration. It is insane. The AMX M4 armor currently is pretty strong. The upper plate sits at around 320 millimeters thick, and the turret is incredibly strong. Even loading heat ammunition, you can see that the AMX M4 turret is one of the strongest in tier 10s, with really no weak spot apart from this little bar underneath the vehicle. But that's about it. If you're hull down and hiding that bar, holy strong, look at the AMX M4. Next update, this armor profile right here is going to be staying exactly the same, if not getting stronger on the upper plate. But to put in your mind, even if we were to go to like Japan and pull out a Hori, you're still not going to pen the AMX's turret. Sure, you might cut through the hull a bit, but when it comes to the turret, you will have literally no opportunities whatsoever. But here comes the absolutely crazy part. The AMX's upper plate currently is around 360 millimeters thick against T110E5 heat rounds, and we can see that. It's around 360. Next update, the upper plate is being buffed by 10 millimeters. That is around 20 millimeters effective due to the angling that this upper plate features. What that means is that you are actually not going to be able to penetrate the AMX M4 even with high pen heat that a T110E5 carries on flat ground if it's running enhanced armor. Now that is really impressive. We actually tried this on Mines, just with the slight bit of gun depression on Mines Hill. The E5 had no chance whatsoever of cutting through the AMX M4 upper plate. So Wargaming in turn did not actually nerf this vehicle's armor whatsoever. The lower plate may have been a little weaker from what we've seen, but apart from that, the actual parts that mattered, like the upper plate, did not change. I thought for a moment that maybe these cutouts on the side were weaker, but it doesn't seem like that's the case either, because looking at Armor Inspector, we can very easily see that these cutouts are very weak. So essentially, this is what the AMX M4 is going to look like against E5 heat next update. Now that is impressive. That is really impressive. Add that on to the fact that this vehicle is going to have more mobility, more DPM, and much better acceleration. And yeah, the AMX M4 is 100% still going to be an incredibly strong heavy. There will be people that don't like the changes, and there are some parts of the changes that I don't agree with. For example, I don't agree with the nerfing of the penetration. I think that's stupid. But I don't mind the DPM increase with the alpha nerf. I think that's fine because it's still going to have plenty of capabilities when it comes to the alpha at 450. It's still going to have plenty of DPM, and mobility-wise and armor-wise, the tank's just getting a flat buff. So overall, the AMX M4 seems like it's actually getting kind of mega buffed here when it comes to a lot of aspects. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this vehicle. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.